Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Town of Powell regular select board meeting, October 13th, 2022 at 6 p.m. Call the meeting to order. Board member roll call.
Angie Rawling,
Jamie Percy.
Bob Jarvis.
Brian Harris.
Mike Gardner. Approval of the agenda. Public comment, approval of minutes of September 22nd, 2022. Warrants, payroll, September 30th. I'm not gonna read all those right now. We'll go through that when we get there. Correspondence, excess weight permits, emergency radio, local cannabis control commission, Vorak grant bridge project, ordinance enforcement discussion, executive for contractual, public comment, adjourn, and we need to add an executive for personnel.
Do that as 13A.
Mike, would you mind terribly putting Vorak at the top so I can scoot?
Does anybody have a problem with that? I don't.
Nope.
No
All
problem.
right, thank you.
So we'll move that to,
Before public comment.
Bruce is here for correspondence too, FYI,
No, I'm not in front of correspondence. I just mean after the business.
excess weight permit.
Yeah,
yeah,
just before.
we'll do it as like 8A after excess weight permits.
You're gonna add Leonard, right? The animal control officer question.
Yeah, we have to add, I was looking at that to see if that was executive, but it doesn't need to be. We need to add, Leonard with animal control questions and next steps for him. And we can put that, 12A before we go into executive, all right? Just make sure I get these in the right spot.
Is any more?
Any other items to add to the agenda?
Bob?
Everybody good? I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda with, the changes that we have discussed.
So moved.
Oh, second.
Second.
Take your pick, Sarah.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Public comment. Any public comment, Hannah? Perfect. Approval of minutes of September 22nd, 2022 select board meeting.
Second.
Any discussion, corrections? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Abstain.
Warrants, payroll, September 30th, 2022, $11,312.37.
So moved.
Second.
Hold on, I'm not in that one, right?
No.
Okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So carry payroll, COVID hazard pay, September 29th, 2022, $34,534.54.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Payroll, October 7th, 2022, $11,228.83.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Abstain. Payroll, October 14th, 2022, $10,927.88.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Accounts payable, September 30th, 2022, $326,272.78.
So moved.
Second.
Should we discuss a little about what that is? Because it is pretty high.
Absolutely.
So there was I think it was $133,000 payment we made to the bond bank, so that accounts for a large portion of that.
And then the Mason Brothers check had to be reissued to the side.
And there was that was $120,000, right? $180,000 for the pavement.
So out of that $326,000, we have,
313.
I was gonna say 300, I was gonna go round numbers and say 310 was in 2 checks.
The rest are probably cell phone bills, electric.
So
Yes.
just,
That's enough for me. I
Yep.
just wanted to.
yep, there we go, perfect.
Thanks.
Yeah, that USA Bank just jumped right out at me.
Accounts payable, New Town Hall, October 1st, 22, $14,000.
So moved.
Second it.
Any questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Accounts payable, October 7th, 22, $27,671.47.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Accounts payable, PV1 upgrade, which is our pump station, project. October 8th, 22, 84.80.
So moved.
Second it.
$8,480, not $84.80. I want to be clear on that. I know what I was saying, but any, discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Accounts payable, October 14th, 2022, $19,775.58.
So moved.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Perfect. Brings us to correspondence.
So we had a letter that Bruce hand delivered, but since he's here, maybe, do you want to speak or do you want me to read the letter?
I just don't have them read the letter if they haven't seen it yet.
They have not. So dear board members, I'm writing today to request an extension to our July 2021 timber sale agreement for the town of Powell, property located off of Dean Road. During the summer of 21, we began the timber harvest and we had a good faith effort to cut as much timber as possible. However, due to the abnormally wet conditions, we were unable to sustain any level of consistency, and reasonably so, we were forced to shut down the operation. During the early summer of 2022, we hired a second logging contractor to continue with the operation. Due to scheduling conflicts and our original contractor was unavailable. The new contractor, Independent Partners out of Newfane, Vermont, works with Allard Lumber on a consistent basis, and because of their skill set, is usually hired to harvest on steeper slopes. This crew is a 3-member LLC, but due to their senior member suffering a stroke, they lost a key member of the team, which diminished their production capacity. He has recovered and is doing well, but is now unable to perform the day-to-day labor required of a logger. Allard Lumber would like to request an extension until August 15th of 2023. I believe it will take us less than a month to finish harvesting the timber and to perform the final closeout, which will consist of installing, maintaining water bars, removing our stream crossing structures, and seeding and mulching the stream approaches and landing area. At this time, it is too late in the year to feasibly continue with the operation, so we would start up late next spring or early summer as soon as the weather allows. We greatly appreciate the board considering our request and will accept whatever decision is made. Sincerely, Edward Fortin.
I make a motion to accept the request.
I
I'll
second.
second.
Could I just
Unforeseen
do
circumstances.
that before
Absolutely.
you just go ahead and
Okay.
okay it?
Sure thing.
I don't think I would just hand it to them. You've got some administration costs that are going to be involved and some remarking of the timber on the town that is faded so bad that it's very difficult to see, so I would expect probably another $1,200 in that range that, would be payable to somebody to go in there, mark the timber and look after or supervise the remaining work that needs to be done. In that light, I would think I would try to twist their arm and get them to come up with another couple $1,000.
Well, I think we should at least,
For covering that aspect of it.
For covering that aspect.
right, I think we should at least make them incur the extra expenses, whatever they are.
Right.
I don't know if we should put a number on it because who knows, and maybe you tell me if I'm wrong.
Well, that's why I put forth the $2,000.
Right.
With that, I'm saying that should take care of
Okay,
any added expense on my part. And, would give a little bit to the town for
okay.
being,
I just want to make sure, I want to make sure, you know, and I mean, I trust your opinion on that, so, you know, personally. You know, I just want to make sure that if there is, and that's a great point, I'm glad you brought that up. Any expenses that are covered, so if Bruce thinks that $2,000 is gonna cover that, you know, I don't have a problem extending their contract to Allard Lumber with that.
right, or you could just write into the extension agreement, that they're gonna cover any incurred expense and
Right.
for future administration till final closeout.
Right.
You know, I still have money that should be coming now because of the hopefully should have been wrapping this up. And, you know, I would hate to have to sit another year on that, even though it's not that much, but, you know, I'm gonna incur more added time, you know, beyond what I had originally estimated, so.
It's a good.
So what's the board's pleasure? Do you want to just have a flat amount? Or do we want
Do we need to revisit, who pays whom and that whole 9 yards, the full relationship?
Well,
I guess I thought we were just
Lumber
doing
would
it.
be, you know, the outfit that has the contract with the town. They subcontract loggers to do the work.
Right.
Right. But our relationship with them is what they're leasing the property from us to be able to extract
Well, they've
lumber.
purchased the timber rights on the
Right.
land,
Okay,
the marked timber
the mark timber.
at this time? They don't have permanent timber rights. They have the.
Right.
They've purchased the timber that's marked.
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm a little dense here.
Oh, that's fine. It was a while ago when we talked about it, so let's make sure we're clear.
Yeah.
That was, yeah.
That's the town.
Well, because Bruce or someone's gonna have to go in and remark the timber that's already been marked once because the paint is faded.
And that's for us to pay?
Well, someone has to
Well,
pay the
it would
person.
be, you know, somebody's gonna have to take care of it, rather than the burden fall on the town, which it shouldn't have to.
Right.
It should fall on Allard Lumber, that's my opinion.
Their contractors, Allard Lumber's contractors, their loggers failed to.
Extract by the date.
By their date.
Longer date for it. But the entire financial relationship, other than purchasing rights to the timber, didn't involve the town. It involved the individual who purchased the rights and then the loggers, I'm sorry, that would be you. And then the loggers who are actually taking it. And those are the two entities that, you know, one marks it, the other takes it. Is that right? Takes the lumber?
Right, I have a contract with the town.
Right.
For marking and administration of the timber sale.
Right.
Oh, okay.
And our land,
That answers
the
my.
timber management.
Now I understand.
Yes.
Yes, now that,
The
okay.
town pays you to mark,
Contracts.
So-
with the
Right.
town.
and now you have to mark again,
Right.
and so that should come out of the sale of the timber.
So what we want to do is amend the
Amend the
motion to
motion.
say that any additional cost to the town will be covered by the loggers. Is that right?
Allard
By Allard Lumber.
Lumber. Okay. So I rescind the motion. Make a motion to accept the extension with the concurrent cost, administrative cost, going to Allard Lumber.
Any additional?
Any incurred, any additional cost,
That's any,
such as remarking the timber or administrative, costs that covers what we're trying to do, right, Bruce?
Thanks for that.
So moved.
And at the end, if
Or
they
second,
don't pay
sorry.
that, I still have $5,000 of theirs as a performance bond to make sure that they go back in, put in their
Take care of-
hours, do all the work that they say that they're
Gonna-
going to do according to their contract. So
right,
it could come out of there, but I don't expect that it would have to.
right.
And to be clear, we have no reason to believe that they wouldn't just honor it, right? They've been good faith partners so far.
You know, I've worked with Allard Lumber for years, you know, it's extremely difficult ground Granted, they had the best summer we've had in a long time, but there were some extenuating circumstances.
Yeah.
You know, the father suffering a stroke.
I was just trying to make it clear that there is no at fault here. We're just trying to cover our bases.
Right, right, no one's at fault, and I think Allen Lumber is a reputable company, from what I understand. It's not that, you know, there are some extenuating circumstances, and you know what, I know firsthand that happens, so I think we all do. So I'm totally for it, I just want, and I'm glad you brought that point up. I have a motion on the floor, I have a second, any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect.
Thank you, Bruce.
Would it be possible to get a letter from the town to Allard, you know,
Sure.
putting that in writing?
Yep,
Yep.
So that-
and, I can sign that. If everyone's fine with that, I'll just sign that letter, or Tara, that's fine.
Good with that.
Yep. Is that all right?
Perfect,
Perfect, thank you.
I can leave.
You can
You're good?
Thank
If
you.
you really want to stay, you can.
hang out.
Get out there, I haven't heard of anything too hard, so. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you.
One more question.
So one more correspondence. This is to the select board from Vanessa Wedlund, I can't read, regarding the John and Joy Primer Farm. Dear members of the select board, we have notified you earlier that Vermont Land Trust was applying for a grant from the Vermont Housing and Conservation Board to acquire developed rights and perpetually conserve the Primer Farm in Pownell. VHCB subsequently approved this application on September 29th, 2021. This letter is to notify you per Title 10 VSA Section 6302D that the Vermont Land Trust will be closing on the purchase of grant of development rights, conservation restriction, option to purchase, and right of enforcement of the United States on 20.79 acres of land located on Shankar Road for $70,000, which will be co-held by the Vermont Land Trust, Inc. and Vermont Housing Conservation Board. A copy of the grant is available upon request and will be sent to the Pownell Town Clerk for recording immediately following closing. For more information about this transaction, please contact Donald Campbell. Sincerely, Vanessa Wedlund, Legal Project Coordinator. Just informative.
That's it for correspondence. Excess weight permits. We have M. Tatro Trucking out of Stanford. We have HL Fuel Company out of West Lebanon. We have two of them here.
One is for,
Two entities, it's HL Fuel and HL Propane.
You're right, thank you. HL Fuel and HL Propane, I was looking for the difference and I was looking for a different address, but I didn't read the top. HL Propane, HL Fuel. Those are the three excess weight permits.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Which brings us. That's where we were gonna remove Rebecca, right? 8A, okay.
Well, it's Tara, but then I wanna,
Oh, this is the Borat grant, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've got some questions.
so, as you all know, we received a grant, back March, April, somewhere around there, $375,000 to hopefully put in a bridge. The main goal being to access our forest lands on the other side of the Hoosick River. So we received a grant
This is
agreement,
a footbridge.
a footbridge, sorry, yes.
No, I wanna make that
A
clear.
pedestrian footbridge over the Hoosick River to access the hiking trails and stuff that are over there. For a long time, we have not had access. So that is the end goal, is to obtain access to those trails. When we received the agreement, there is this one sentence that says failure to complete the project as specified in this agreement may result in denial of payment, or the subrecipient may be required to repay funds issued in this agreement. My concern, and Jennifer shares this concern, and I'm sure Rebecca does too, is if we get into the project, say we spend $100,000 getting permitting, starting the engineering, doing those, getting the road out to where the bridge would be, all of those steps, and then they start drilling into the rock on the other side and let's say the rock breaks or they can't put an abutment there. If we don't put a bridge in and we don't meet exactly as this agreement says,
We get no money.
we might not get reimbursed because it is a reimbursement grant. So we have to put the funds out and then ask for reimbursement. So, that is my concern, is that the town could be left on the hook for any funds that we put out.
So just as the person who like really worked to get the grant, I would really, before we decide it's not feasible, it's not worth a risk, things like that, I would request that you maybe allow me to have a couple conversations with people to see how much it might cost to get a feasibility study on the other side, like these small little pieces. To actually talk to Jackie at work, have an in-depth conversation with her and play out every scenario with her. So that way we're not just like reacting to a piece in a grant agreement, which is like standardized language, and see like what happens. Like, because there were other things in the grant proposal as well, things such as waymaking and creating parking lots and like, oh, if we don't build the bridge, we won't get reimbursed for building the parking lot on the other side, you know? So I think that the other thing is, they're requiring the grant agreement, and part of the contract of the grant agreement is we have 30 days, either party to withdraw from it. I say we go for the grant agreement and don't spend a penny until you guys decide to spend the penny after I get more information. But we already asked for an extension on the grant agreement. I say my personal opinion is I would like it if you would allow us to complete the grant agreement. If we want to withdraw from it, we can withdraw from it, but it's a step that needs to happen if we do go forward. Do you know what I'm saying? We don't have to spend a penny on feasibility or anything. I'd like to talk personally to the bridge guy, if you don't mind, and just see like, what do you think we need to do to get a kind of guaranteed this? Because as any building project, and it's state funded by a grant, these issues obviously come up all the time with these programs. So I'd like to speak to the grant managers to see what do you do when these scenarios come up. Like I would like to work more closely with them, be in conversation with them before we decide, oh crap, let's give up. Like that's what I'm asking.
I think
Yeah, and
that footbridge is a pretty exciting idea. It was really nice to get that grant. We ought to see what we can do to make it happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It gives us access to our property.
I definitely agree with that. And I have spoken to, Jackie actually has been out, so it's been Lauren, but,
Lauren, yeah.
so I mean, it's certainly worth asking them again or asking them a different way to see if maybe I missed an area, like you said, maybe we can
Like, we might
have
have different
them
ideas of what we're
covered.
asking and what we
Yeah.
Can we reach out to,
The other thing too is that it's a very big project, and I've offered this before, but if you guys want me to jump on it again, like I'm happy to help project manage it, you know, because it is, when we were getting the permits for this building, it was nearly a full-time job for me. Like you know what I mean? It's not small. Doing this kind of project management is a job, you know?
right,
And the bridge builder said that he would do it, but either way, we have to go out to RFP and all that. So it's tricky to find someone to work with because you have to,
well, that's why,
because of the procurement process and all
But
that.
I know how to handle that one, and then, you know.
well, that's why I was gonna ask you, did you contact the individual or the company or state engineering for the footbridge upstate in Vermont?
What I dealt with
Because
was
Vermont
ones in North
will
Adams.
know our process.
Right,
Yeah,
I
and
was,
so
that bridge builder.
he was very experienced.
Yes.
Zimmerman Hayes is his name, Bill Hayes.
Yep.
And he was really, really experienced and he knew all of the contacts at the state and the Act 250 people and all of the stream alteration stuff. Like he was really informed with that. But he still only gave us like an 85%. You know, it could go either way. The other piece is accessing the other side of the river. We still have to get permission
So
from
those are the parts
landowners.
we have to figure out, right?
So there's
like-
another landowner involved.
And we can figure out, okay, can we secure access? That's like question number one. Well, no, question number one is, let's do the grant agreement. We don't have to spend a penny, but get the grant agreement, because if we do, we're totally screwing ourselves if we don't actually fill out the grant agreement and then decide to go forward. Question is accessibility across land. Second, talking to the bridge guy about what is required to guarantee feasibility on this other side. How much will that cost? And then coming to you and saying, is this worth the risk to you guys? Call it a $5,000 engineering study or whatever it is that if it's potentially non-reimbursable? And also be more specifics like that, and we talk to Jackie, Lauren, they may have different answers for us regarding specific actions.
Well, if we don't have land easements, then the project's dead. If you don't have access to the
To
land.
bring the building equipment over.
Yeah, we have
Right.
access with machinery and all that.
And you know who we need to ask, correct? And,
I do.
okay,
My question is, what is the deadline to sign the grant agreement?
So
Fantastic.
we
Well, we got an
we
extension.
requested an extension, and I reached out to them also to see, can we change the agreement to Plan B and say we found another project that would allow us to access that land? Could we draft the grant agreement differently?
correct, if it's achieving the same goal.
As long as we're achieving the same goal with access to that land. So I have not heard back from them yet. So I think they're probably inundated with everybody trying to fix their grant agreements and everything. So I think.
So we requested an extension.
Yeah.
So we must have a deadline on that extension.
They have not given me a deadline.
They
They
have.
are so slow on getting it done in the
It's-
first place, and I think they're also showing a lot of grace to the towns who are like, do you know what I'm saying? Also.
No, I understand. I mean, I don't want to sign a grant agreement. I don't want to sign a grant agreement that's the deadline for the grant agreement because we only have 30 days after we sign it to withdraw.
Right.
I don't want to sign a grant agreement that's due tomorrow that only gives us 30 days to get all of this stuff done, all the research done.
At any point, you can get out of it within 30 days.
Right, but what
It's not 30 days from when you signed it. It's
Right, but it's within 30 days.
at any moment you decide it to leave, you.
But you have a 30-day window to get out of it.
That's what it sounds like.
Right.
You only have 30 days to go.
So if the grant agreement is due tomorrow and we have to, I'm just saying,
But, right.
without having a definite
Probably
date.
30 days from when it's signed by
When it's
both parties.
finalized.
Well, I would really like to help and try to put a little energy in it, but if it's not, I don't want to step on your toes or anything like that, but like, I do have a special attachment to this grant, so.
I don't, listen, I think doing the research, and I personally don't have a problem spending 5,000 to do or whatever to do a feasibility study. But I don't have a problem having a special meeting next week to sign a grant agreement.
Right.
Okay? I would like to have the date that grant agreement,
We can get out of it.
that we can get out of it. Because if we, like I said, if we only have 30 days after we sign it tomorrow, we're not gonna have our study done, I'm sure, in 30 days, the way things are. So I really and truly would like to have that date.
Yeah.
And I don't have a problem signing the grant agreement.
If you don't spend so there's two questions, right? So it's signing the grant agreement so that it's established, which we should probably wait till the end of the extension, get our questions answered first. But even if we go into the grant agreement and miss the 30-day window, if we don't spend a penny, we're not,
Right.
we're not out anything, right? So, I would really just like to come back the next meeting with a ton of really robust.
We can do a special meeting if we have to next week. I'm fine with that.
We'll have it by next week.
I'm sure, but
Next regular, is
I'm-
probably a good,
yeah, and I'm just,
There's only two things, will you please keep in mind?
yes.
I don't want to use ARPA funds and I don't want to ask taxpayers for any more money.
Right,
No,
Those are
I don't
my
want
two-
to either.
Those are my two,
right. I
those are the
don't,
only things I have to say.
That's
it.
absolutely,
I'm in agreement.
but we have to ask a whole bunch more really robust questions.
Right.
No, I know that part.
To make, before we decide feasibility on it, right?
Yeah.
So I certainly don't want to tap any of that either.
I don't want to abandon the grant.
No, I don't want
Right,
that.
I just think we need to research this out some more.
Yeah.
Right,
And I
If we
think,
end up looking at a better way in,
Right.
that is well within that, and that's fine, but we have to find that out now, and we need to see what is the cost for determining, a footbridge would be amazing, but
Yeah.
obviously.
oh, I think it'd be an awesome project. I was excited as anybody, for sure, you know.
I'm excited too. I think I'm just scared.
I know.
It's a lot of money.
Let me jump in with you and let me do what I did with the town hall permits, like,
Yeah.
just start talking to everybody and get that really robust information going, so that way we can make better decisions about it.
You're being
So let's-
cautious.
Let's research it out. Let's come back. Let's put that on the agenda for the next regular meeting, next 2 weeks.
Yep.
And if we're not ready for it then we extend it out.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Okay, great. I appreciate you guys,
Thanks.
and I appreciate you, Tara, thank you.
Yeah,
for
thank
letting
you.
me-
No, absolutely, no, I appreciate it, thank you.
You're very busy doing all the running of the town, and I can put some hours into some deep research.
We work as a team around here now, you'd be surprised.
Yes, that's a good thing.
Lovely. All right, thanks, guys.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Emergency radio. Did everyone see?
I read everything, yeah.
Sarah's
That
notes?
was good to me.
I'm,
Sounds like a great idea.
Yeah,
I think we should just move forward with Procom and take care of that and do exactly what they said. We bring that bus radio in with a converter.
just so public knows, Procom did have the cheaper estimate anyways for installing the radio, but then Joel remembered we have a newer radio in our bus that we can refurbish and use in the building, so that will save, like almost $1,000.
Very good.
That's good.
So,
We need a motion to move forward.
yes,
I make a motion to move forward with the emergency radio using the one from the bus to help save the money.
Contract with Procom.
And we can contract with Procon, thank you.
Get it.
any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Perfect, let's move right along.
You care.
Let's move to the next one too. Local Cannabis Control Commission.
I read your letter and everybody read the letter?
I read that. I agree.
That extensive email. Was that long?
It was
It was really, but
I apologize.
no, but it brings us back refreshments.
It's easier for me, yeah, I just go right
Thank
to the
you.
agenda. and-
I appreciate it, I don't know about anybody else.
Oh, I did, I'm just picking on her.
So the public knows what we're talking about, the local cannabis control commission can be made up of community members, it can be a current board. I think we are hoping to have it be the select board, where you would approve licenses just like you do the liquor license.
Yep.
So, it comes to us before it's approved at the state level, so that we can just make sure that we agree with it. There's not a whole lot of regulation we can do on them, but at least we have the oversight. Right now, with me just as the contact, they aren't really sharing a lot of information, but they do when it's a board. And I did a training, another webinar thing that said, if you have a board, you get much more communication.
Well, I think,
And we had.
Or commission, sorry,
Go
not
ahead.
commission.
We had, the previous information was that most towns or a lot of towns were using either an existing board or commission in order to become the local cannabis control board.
Right.
And I think with your more research, the more common one is the select board.
Yeah.
So I think that's really where it ought to be. And then we can assess it later on and decide whether or not it's working for us.
well, and I think that, I think one of the questions is, do we want to have a local cannabis control commission?
Right, is whether you want to have it at all.
And if we do, I think, what is that gonna be? Who's gonna comprise the membership? And I think with Nelson, when he came in and did the presentation, his recommendation was for a local control commission. Everything that Tara's done research wise points towards a local commission, because that way we do get more information apparently by having that. So I think this needs to be a two-stage process. Stage one, do we want to form a local cannabis control commission?
And both of those are going to require a motion, I think, right?
Right, that's what I mean. I'm sorry. I think this is a stage,
It's two motions.
two motions.
So are we in agreement that we want to create one? I think we are, but I'm not sure.
I believe so.
I'll entertain the motion to establish a local cannabis control commission.
I'll make a motion that the town of Powell establish a local cannabis control commission.
I'll second that.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
So carried.
And then I'll make a motion that our local cannabis control commission be the select board.
Second it.
Any more discussion? Comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
So in order to do that, we have to have a resolution signed by you guys, and I already filled it all out. So all you have to do is sign it, so I can send it out tomorrow.
Overachiever.
Again.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you very much.
We already did the Vorak grant, ordinance enforcement discussion, and that is on the trash ordinance that we had just adopted on the, I believe, the 26th of September. Is that correct?
Yep. So I think I just wanted you guys to start having initial discussions. I know we need to do lots of education and sharing information and making sure people are informed. But I learned that like when our animal control officer writes a municipal ticket, it actually goes to the judicial bureau and then it goes on someone's license. So we could consider after everyone is informed and say 6 months from now, we decide we want to ticket people, that is an option also. Thank you.
I think I'd like to think about this, all of us, I'd like all of us to think about this for a little bit before we come up with something. But one of the biggest complaints that I've heard from residents in the town of Pownell for the last 3 years is no matter what ordinance or violation someone has, there's never been an enforcement. We've never followed through as a town. So I think the judicial bureau, I think you doing the research on that, putting this onto someone's driver's license, I think is a huge step in having the fine. And I'm not so concerned about the fine. I'm really not concerned about the fine money. I'm more concerned about the violation, whatever it is, being taken care of.
Exactly.
Okay? The fine money to me is that's the moot point. The point of the violation of someone receiving the violation is it's a zoning violation. It's a trash violation. It's a, whatever the violation is, there's never been an enforcement. It's a health violation.
To educate and clean it up, and fix it.
So I think what I'd like to do is I'd like to put this back on for next meeting. I'd like all of us to take that home and think about it, because I know where I'm going with it.
Enforcement across the board.
Of course, that's right.
Not just for this one
So what I'd like to do is change that from ordinance enforcement discussion to maybe violation enforcement discussion. I don't know if that's the right term, but I mean, we have the cover ordinance. So if somebody's not covering in town.
Right.
Right? I mean, the one we just adopted, I just want everybody to rehash this, and I hate the table stuff. You guys know that. That's not me. I'd rather do it now, but I want us to think about it, because I think a rash reaction right now is not the right one to have.
I agree totally. We need to think this through and make sure that the action that we're taking is going to
Be effective.
it's going to have the effect that we want it to have. I mean, the ideal situation is we don't hand out fines and we have no violations.
Exactly.
It's not a moneymaker, and we should never go into this with the thought of a moneymaker.
Well, that's exactly what I want. I don't want it to be about the fine, the amount. I want it to be about the cleaning or fixing the violation.
Right, like
Yes,
first
not
we
the
want
bad
like that
behavior.
voluntary compliance.
Right.
But when that doesn't happen,
Right.
that's what.
No, but I think I want everyone to rethink this or think it through, not rethink it, it's kind of just popped up.
Right.
I'd like everyone to think this through. I'd like to revisit this next meeting, and then I think we're all in agreement on what we kind of want to do, but hey, we may change our mind.
Or come up with other ideas.
Yeah, maybe somebody's got another idea. You might wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and
Light bulb,
comes on.
that all the time.
Yeah. Everybody's good with that? We'll move on. The animal control officer, you wanna?
Yep, so Leonard reached out to me. He has 2 German shepherds that keep escaping in town. They have had multiple complaints from neighbors, even neighbors like way down the road on other roads are calling him. He's gone to get them numerous times. He has, fined the owners, they are paying the fines, and they keep telling him, well, we have a wireless fence, but he never sees them with collars on. So he's not sure if they really do or not. But the dogs are out all the time and they're like repeat offenders kind of thing, and he doesn't know what he should do next.
I guess one is I think it would be good to itemize that exactly. I know that's a very good overview, but this date they were fined this much, this date they were fined this much, this date they were fined this much. I would like to see the full chronology to understand fully.
And I don't have that either, but I can get it.
And then,
I know he could give that to us. I know.
I'm sure.
There's not a doubt in my mind that Leonard could give us that, and he could probably tell us the time.
And we are working currently on a new ordinance and that stuff, but that's not gonna help us right now.
Right,
Do you think a letter from the board could help
to the
to the
homeowner.
owners of the dogs,
So-
saying that this is becoming a nuisance?
I
and
think,
having a
I
lot
think
of
Bob has a great point. I think I'd like to put this on the next meeting as well.
Oh, boy, that's three
Well,
next meeting.
I know. Because, and I think if we had that chronological,
That
Right,
would have to go in the letter if we were gonna.
Right, that's why he was.
that's what I'm
picking it up.
saying. Put that chronological thing in a letter. Now, that's also, as I'm sitting here thinking, this is also something because Leonard, apparently, when he writes the tickets, writes it to the judicial bureau. So this is an ordinance that we have. It could give some teeth if we said, this is what our process is
Right,
on violations of town ordinances and stuff.
especially.
Here's our process.
I agree. But the one thing I do want to understand is because it sounded to me from the description, and I haven't talked to anybody, I don't know anything about the situation other than what we're learning tonight. It sounded to me like the dog owners it sounded like they were attempting to do something, except no one sees the collar on them.
Right,
But they are paying their fines.
that's because it's going to the jurisdiction,
right.
which
Right.
is against their license.
Right. But they're paying their fines. They're not,
Right, so, but then neighbors are getting like irate,
right.
like,
So
they don't understand why.
this is another one of
Nothing
them.
is.
They're just getting loose, correct? They're not like vicious.
They're not, no, I haven't heard any complaints of them being vicious, but.
They're just-
Right, they're in the yard.
Yard.
Free and
Okay.
able to sweep the yard whenever.
They're kind of all over
Very
town.
often.
Yeah.
They are all over town.
They're roamers,
Yeah, they
from what I
I
understand.
think it goes up, so.
It
the
goes
first
up from
offense
each
is
one.
Lower and then, yeah.
Well, I knew it
got
goes up,
like-
but I thought at a certain point it stopped and then it just kind of.
I think it goes up to like 500, I do believe it goes up to.
I wanted to say 250, but it's.
Oh, okay. I
So
was
it's a
thinking-
good amount. It's not like it's a $5 fine.
No, it's like
it's a good amount.
$25 like.
It could be
time
per
I
animal.
totally-
And I
don't know if he's doing that or not.
I don't know.
I can tell you for free that the radio collars, if you do, I had a black lab that I put that collar on to try to keep him in my yard, and he would
Yeah.
walk across my yard, he would hear the beep, he would walk through, he would get shocked, he would shudder and shake and walk. And he'd go to the neighbors. And then when he came back, he knew he was gonna get it again, so he would start doing the same thing. And 2 or 3 days of that, and it's like, nah, he's not gonna stop. He's just not. It's just not gonna happen.
Yeah, I've seen dogs do the same. thing.
My black lab would walk right across
Through it, so.
daily.
Or they get distracted, run across it, then they can't get back in.
There was no running that big boy. Everything he did was a slow walk, so. So he'd get shot quite often going through that, but he just would keep right on going, so it's what it is.
Next meeting.
Yeah, next meeting, I guess, well, I was trying to think about, if it's already going to the judicial bureau, there's not,
We could have somebody draft the letter, right? And the act of drafting that letter is also going to be some research about, you got to find this date, this date, this date, this date, and here's the next steps. Here's where you are in the process. And we want to give you a chance to correct this permanently because it's going to have to, otherwise it goes to this next step. So if we can have somebody draft that letter, that's going to require the research that goes into it to understand what the next step is and what we can do and probably get something out of it.
Right, and that's what I was thinking about, to be honest with you. I was trying not to bring this to the next meeting. I was trying to figure it out tonight. Because if it's already going to the judicial bureau and they're paying their fines, well, okay, so what do you do? I mean, the fine only gets to so much, and I think it does cap. I think you're right.
So that's why Leonard is probably asking, what can we do next? Because he's already probably got to the
He's
cap.
probably at the cap.
And he's frustrated.
And he's frustrated.
The neighbors are frustrated.
Right. So I think maybe we do that right now. We send a letter from the select board and we say in that letter.
Get that info.
In that letter, we'll have that chronological order. We'll have the fine amounts in it so that we all see that.
Yeah.
And then I also think in that letter that we put in there that we're in the process of researching our next steps.
Our next step, so you may want to look into
Well,
confinement.
I'm not gonna tell them what they have to do because it's their dogs and that's their property. But I do think we should research what our next steps should be.
So I guess I'm not clear on what the nuisance is though. I understand that dogs get out and they wander around, but I guess people wouldn't be complaining if it was just a friendly dog saying hello.
I don't know.
Oh, they're taking a crap in your front yard.
Well, okay, then that would be the nuisance then.
Or
But
if you've got dogs or animals in your yard and they're chasing them or bothering them.
You almost run them over with
Is
your
that
car
what?
I think
So is that what's
might be
happening?
part of
and
it.
scare the shit out of you.
What's that?
You almost ran them over with your car and scared them.
That.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm asking. I'm asking what were the nature of the dog?
Are they into people's chickens?
Garbage.
Or whatever.
Right.
But I mean, regardless how they act, they're,
That would be a
we have a
different,
leash law. and they're supposedly-
Exactly.
Right. So I think in the process, we should research out our next steps.
I'm doing that anyways.
I know you are.
The animals.
Because you're working on that ordinance anyways. I understand.
And possibly, hopefully a new adoption partnership, if we can get it figured out.
Which is actually gonna be awesome if we can get it figured out.
Is that the second hand?
I'm really hoping. Yes.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so I think that's awesome.
Yep,
We're working on some really cool stuff.
yep.
Oh, hang on. An adoption partnership?
Well, our hope was that we could find an agency that would handle the adoption piece, even so a lot of times that the Humane Society's full or someplace that the shelters are full. So if we have animals that need to be adopted, instead of us taking on the liability or Leonard doing it, if they would partner with us.
Oh, you mean like partner with Second Chance or something like that?
Right.
Right, where they have
We
foster
have a-
parents and stuff that
Right.
can take the animals until they can be adopted.
That and help us with the
And that takes the
adoption process so
responsibility
that we're
out of
not
the town
liable for
upon
that stuff.
I was just afraid we were expanding, but.
No.
No, I'm hoping.
That's exactly what we're trying not to do. We're trying really hard not to expand.
Because we often have animals
Right,
that.
we're trying really hard to partner with somebody that already does this, so the liability is gone from us and Leonard. And it's actually better for the animals and everybody involved.
And we don't
Okay,
know yet that it's possible, but it's a real big hope.
But, yeah, and it's something we're working on, so,
Yeah.
perfect.
That brings us down to executive.
We're into executive for contractual.
Wow, fast meeting.
Shush.
I'll entertain a motion to enter into executive for contractual, and
There's one after that for personnel too.
yeah, but
correct?
they're right. The contractual, we'll have to go into contractual, come out.
No, go into personnel,
For
yeah.
contractual, there more than likely will be
Action taken.
after contractual.
I make a motion to move into executive for contractual.
I'll
Second. Oh, Bob got it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Let us know, Hannah.
Executives.
now you can.
Now you may.
I motion that we come out of executive session.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion that we enter into a contract with RCS Consulting, Inc. as the town's technical support.
I'll second. Sorry, Jane.
Either or.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
I'll make a motion that we enter into executive session for personnel.
Second it.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Kicking everybody out again. Make a motion that we come out of executive session.
Second it.
We're coming out from personnel. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any public comment, Hannah?
Yep, Jim has a-
Whenever you're ready.
There's a separate.
Hi, guys.
page requiring signatures.
Can you state your name, please?
I'm sorry, Jim Costas, North Mason Hill Road. First of all, watching tonight's meeting was a pleasure. I mean, Tara, you're doing a great job protecting us from any liabilities or anything. And at the same time, I just love the statement of that you want to try to keep our taxes down and not come up with anything more. The one question I like to just bring up and is wondering in the future, if the select board could, as our agent, give us a report on where the racetrack building stands. I noticed that it's not fenced in, it's still not boarded up, and winter is coming soon. So thank you very much. Have a good night.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Hey,
Can you say that that's in the state's hand right now?
I can. That's, the racetrack property is, we turned it over, so to speak, to the state of Vermont Department of Fire and Safety. That was over a year ago, right, Angie? We were down there. Angie and I met with Fire and Safety and the state is the one who has, supposedly taking care of that situation, which they haven't, so, I've already signed that, my friend.
There was 2 pages.
Oh, sorry. So that's kind of where that's at, Jim. Not that I agree with it. But that's where it's at. It's in the state's hands.
Just so you know, I have heard from them that they are doing fines and stuff like that. And they say that you guys are gonna be the liaison in between the taxpayer and the concerned citizens. So if you could approach them and just find out if there's anything that you could tell the people, because the asbestos is already out of the building. It's rained, it's gonna snow in a couple of months. And I mean, unfortunately, we can't see it now between the trees. But it's an eyesore that is probably seen from the people up above on Northwest Hill Road and everything that really affects them. So if you could follow up with the state and just see if there's anything you can tell us.
can we do that? Can we send,
Definitely.
GJ Garrow is probably the one to send to at first. And then if it's not GJ, I think he's moved since we were down there with him.
You have these?
But if we reach out to GJ, he can certainly, send us into the right direction of if there's somebody different.
The last time I spoke with them, they needed an updated address for the owner, which I got them from our town clerk. So hopefully they were able to get that fine actually delivered because that was what they were working on when I.
that was the
spoke to them
game they
last.
played with us before too.
Yeah. So that was a couple months ago, so I can reach out.
So hopefully, Jim, we can have a report, at the next board meeting, on what's going on.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
And when I say they, it wasn't fire safety, but the owner of the property.
Right.
Yeah, fire and safety's been pretty good. It's just paperwork and. Any more public comment?
Yeah, Doug Kolakowski.
Doug Kolakowski, Everdale Road, Pownell. As one of the 3 licensed state cultivators for cannabis operating in Pownell, am I correct to assume that since you guys are doing the cannabis control, that we will be opting into retail in Pownell?
We already have, Doug.
Okay. I thought so, but I didn't know if I had missed a couple meetings. I didn't know if you guys were doing a vote on top of the public vote or where things stood. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, the
That's-
select
that's
board
really-
definitely did vote it and approved it
Awesome.
after the
Thank
public
you.
vote. You're welcome.
Did you want these or no?
Any more public comment?
And I'll write them down.
That's it? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone, for attending tonight.